Okay, thank you very much. Guys, welcome to the Hive Brisbane event for April 2010. We might just kick things off with the usual survey. Can I please have a show of hands? How many people are new tonight, their first ever Hive event? Up high so we can see. Excellent, thank you. Welcome, Len. Guys, welcome. We hope you get a lot out of it, and if you do, please pass it on and tell your friends. I'll just quickly introduce the Hive for all of you that are new. The Hive is a non-profit organisation. We put this event on for an alternative business networking event, something that's a little bit different, something that gives back to the community, and something that's not focused on selling. What we're here to do is make some friends, hang out with people that are like-minded, and provide an opportunity to not only gain some inspiration from our guest speakers, but also network, create some connections, and realise that in the game of entrepreneurship you're not actually alone. So on that note that we are a non-profit, obviously we don't make any money out of this, nor do we seek to. We survive solely on the support of our local sponsors, and tonight they are Greystone Bar that are kindly hosting us here tonight, and Clovelly Estate Wines who provide our speakers gift. Nationally, we are also supported by Deloitte Digital and RMIT University. They support the Hive Brisbane, Melbourne and Sydney. The reason why we've got all this get up tonight, even though we're a smaller crowd, is because we do record our Hive presentations. We have a podcast which is on our website for free, so if you can't ever make it or you'd like to listen back to some of Len's points, it should be on the website within a day or two. So please always keep that in mind. Now, without further ado, I'll introduce Len Poulter. Len is the founder of Lenards Chicken. Lenards now has 191 franchise stores around Australia. It's doing exceedingly well. Len's been in the game for over 35 years personally, and the company is now expanding into supermarkets and growing very rapidly. The next challenge apparently is to expand internationally and capitalise on those markets. So I won't tell his story for you. Please welcome Len Poulter from Lenards.
I don't know whether to sing a song or not now. Listen, guys. Thank you very much. Listen, I've just arrived back from Shanghai and Singapore only 2 days ago, and I've come back with a head full of cold. So bear with me. I hadn't even thought about tonight until about 2 hours ago, what I was going to talk about. Now, heaven's sake, I'm not dismissing the people that's in this room. If you are all entrepreneurs, congratulations. Probably 20% of you might make it, and hopefully you all do, but only 20% probably will make it. And at my age, I started being an entrepreneur around about 37. And it's taken me that long to get there, so don't give up if you haven't made it the first time. There's always an opportunity around the corner. I thought, I've got a few notes here. I'm a very, very lucky person. I have a person that when I'm going to go somewhere, do a presentation, he drops down a few notes, and I've got to work off these notes. If he doesn't, he's standing here tonight, he's going to make sure I won't write him again if I don't get it right. So why I thought about tonight was to give you an idea of myself, as myself. I thought I'd come from an angle of presenting in a way of the most common asked questions that I get asked all the time. Because heaven's sake, in 30 minutes to tell you a 20-year-old story, it's just too difficult. So I thought I'd approach it tonight. How are we going with that? Everybody can hear me? I feel a bit hollow. It might be just me flu. So I'll start off with why Lenard's concept, and I'm sure you're all interested in why Lenard's concept. And this might take a few seconds, because it doesn't take long with entrepreneurs. They've got an idea and they jump off and off they go and do it. And everybody thinks that they do. I was a butcher by trade. I've been butchering for something like 40 odd years at the time, and I was frustrated. And I don't think anybody ever takes a notice of the industry they're in, but the industry I was in was driven by price. The average butcher in the street where I used to be in Victoria, there'd be 5 butcher shops in one street. The only point of difference the 5 butcher shops had was price. Price driven all the time. And I was really frustrated being a butcher and having a career in a butcher shop. I thought, well, this is not where I want to be. I mean, I have to find something that's going to create a point of difference and something that's going to give back to my consumers. So I thought about it for a long time and took a product that come out of my business at the time, and I took chicken from that butcher shop and looked at it and I said, what can I do with chicken? And I moved on from there. The price issue, to me, was a frustrating point. To be in an industry, I don't know if anybody heard about it, but the MLA is an industry, it's there for the body of the meat industry itself. I was a member of the meat industry, butcher shop industry, and every time we open up a store in the morning, you guarantee the butcher down the road that have rump steak on cheaper than you, and the quality of the product was less and all that. So what I started doing was actually adding value. I was very, very lucky. I went overseas for about 3 years and worked places like England and Ireland, and I worked in Holland, and I worked in Italy. And one of the things I learnt when I was over in those countries was that they didn't waste food. It was a very precious thing. It was a lot more expensive in the marketplace at the time. Where in Australia, we were a very, very wasteful industry. The meat industry in Australia was at that stage, 30 years ago, 30 years ago, the meat industry was very wasteful. So by identifying that and bringing it back, I started to work on chicken and adding more value, doing more, opening up. Every time I opened up a recipe, I found another recipe. And I put it in my window and I found it sold and it sold and it sold. And after a while, 50% of my food in my butcher shop window was becoming chicken. So naturally, the first opportunity I had was to move on and start a concept as Lenards. I jumped in a little car, a little yellow car, and sold my last butcher shop in Victoria and drove all the way up with my family right to Cairns. And I stopped, for my wife's wonder, I stopped at nearly every shopping centre all the way up. And she thought that was absolutely fantastic. But no, I was looking for chicken shops and I was looking at butcher shops and I was talking to shopping centre managers and I was finding out about leases and opportunities. I was looking for an opportunity. And I got all the way to Cairns. And I stayed in Cairns for a couple of weeks in a lovely place called Palm Cove. And I decided then that I was going to come straight back to Victoria, sell the house and pack the kids up and drive back to Queensland and start in Brisbane somewhere, because Brisbane had the World Expo on at the time, it was coming up. So I headed back. And to me, it was probably the biggest thing I've ever done in my life, because we hadn't sold the house. And the wife had to stay there for the next 3 or 4 months, and I had to come up here and live in a caravan. I literally lived in a caravan for the first 3 months while I was here. And I think the first Sunday I arrived here, well, one of the Sundays I arrived here was actually Father's Day, so I had to ring home, and it was pretty tough. So you do go through a lot of hardship as you grow, and as you do the first step into being an entrepreneur, no matter what you do. If you don't go through hard times, you're not going to understand or appreciate it. So you will go through hard times. So I could say to you now that Sunnybank Hills was our first store, and I started it. And I suppose the story, if anybody knows Lenards in principle, that's really where it started from. And today, as rightly said, 190 stores, but it was only today that I realised that we've actually opened up 285 stores. Yes, on the way through that whole period, we've actually closed quite a few stores also. Those sort of things happen. The cycle of leases in Australia is only 5 years. They come and go. People don't like the business anymore, or that something happens in the shopping centre. But I didn't know that until today, so we got our numbers wrong. Listen, one of the things when I was going out and starting Lenards, one of the things that really prompted me, and this might help with you guys to look at where you're heading. One of the things that prompted me was that the McDonald's, the KFCs have just sort of started in Australia. What they had in that marketplace was franchising. There wasn't much in franchising when I first started looking at chicken shops. There's a very small group of franchises in Australia. But the companies such as McDonald's and KFC, one of the things that